Okay, so welcome to today's deep dive, where we are going to basically unpack something massive. If you've ever stepped foot in a Mexican courthouse, you probably know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. The literal mountains of paper.
Exactly. Mountains of paper files that aren't just stacked, they are actually like sewn together with thread.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a completely 19th century filing system trying to handle a 21st century caseload.
Right. And that caseload is mostly civil and family disputes, which is exactly where the Código Nacional de Procedimientos Civiles y Familiares comes in, or the CNPCF for short.
Yeah, our mission today is to really figure out how this massive legal overhaul is finally going to, cut that thread. Because
Yeah.
before this, the old system was basically a chaotic legal Tower of Babel, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to understand the sheer scale of the problem here, Mexico had 32 completely different state rule books, plus a federal one on top of that.
Wow. 32 different ways of doing the exact same thing.
Exactly. The system was just buckling under its own weight. That total collapse is actually what forced the major constitutional reform back in 2017. The federal government literally had to step in and take legislative power away from local congresses.
Just to stop the bleeding, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. What's fascinating here is the disparity under that old system. Say you are trying to settle a simple property dispute. In one state, a quick summary trial could take maybe 3 months.
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad.
Right, but if you happen to live just one state over, that exact same dispute could drag through their written system for years. So the CNPCF wipes all those local codes out and replaces them with one unified rulebook.
Okay, but wait. Looking at this single unified rule book, I'm seeing a potential massive issue here. There's a new rule demanding that judges must be physically present at oral hearings.
Yes, physical presence is mandatory now.
Right, and if they aren't there, the whole hearing just gets nullified. But, I mean, civil and family disputes are like 70% of the nation's caseload. If the courts are already drowning, how does forcing a judge to sit in on every single hearing
Sure.
not just create an even worse bottleneck?
Well, physical presence alone absolutely would create a huge bottleneck, which is why the code's 11,191 articles prioritize a total digital transformation. You can't speed up the courtroom if the paperwork is still moving at the speed of a sewing needle.
Right, okay. That makes total sense.
So they are rolling out fully electronic files and advanced electronic signatures. This allows clerks and judges to process and authorize case movements instantly, which, actually frees up their time to sit in those mandatory hearings.
Oh, wow. And it's not just digital files, right?
Yeah.
The actual mechanics of the law are shifting to protect vulnerable groups, too.
Yeah, a great example is how they handle family violence. Under the old system, the victim often had to painstakingly prove the abuse actually happened. The new code shifts the burden of proof.
Wait, really? So how does that work now?
Now, the accused actually has to provide evidence that they didn't commit the abuse. It completely rewires the power dynamic in the courtroom.
That is a huge shift. But, here's where it gets really interesting to me. You can't just flip a switch and make every courthouse in Mexico digital overnight. It's like trying to upgrade a major city's plumbing system while everyone is still turning on their faucets every morning.
That is the perfect metaphor, and that's exactly why the implementation is gradual, hitting a hard constitutional deadline of April 1st, 2027. They are moving at basically 3 different speeds.
Right, like early adopters taking the initial pressure tests.
Yeah, like Nuevo León running pilot programs. Then you have states in the second tier, currently in prep mode, adjusting their state budgets for these massive tech upgrades. And finally, the federal system is adopting it gradually to supplement existing commercial cases.
Which brings us to the ultimate stress test for this whole plumbing upgrade, Mexico City. Because CDMX handles the absolute largest volume of files in the country.
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, CDMX is the hardest logistical hurdle in abandoning paper entirely. A system crash there would paralyze the legal economy.
So they're using a strictly staggered calendar to avoid that, right?
Exactly. They started with mortgage and rent disputes. Next, coming up on June 1st, 2026, they roll out voluntary civil jurisdiction.
Meaning cases where, both parties actually agree, like a
Yeah.
mutual divorce or just fixing a birth certificate.
Right. The low conflict cases go digital first. Then November 15th, 2026 brings the heavy hitters, ordinary civil cases and inheritances, the ones where people are actively fighting over assets.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Whether you're dealing with a lease agreement or a family estate, this really points to a future of standardized, digital, and ideally faster justice across Mexico. No matter where you file, the rules will finally be the same.
Yes, but there is a pretty massive catch in this rollout.
Right, the old cases.
Exactly. Old cases don't get digitized. Anything filed before those rollout dates stays strictly on paper. Only new cases filed after the deadlines go into the fully digital system.
Which leaves you with this bizarre thought to ponder. Over the next few years, how are these local courts going to manage this dual reality? You will literally have judges and clerks maintaining 19th century physical archives, still sewing paper files with thread, right alongside managing cutting-edge cloud servers. It's basically two different centuries operating simultaneously in the exact same courtroom.